Did you know that the convenience of booking a cozy room or an entire house for your vacations with platforms like Airbnb could be contributed to a... Welcome! We're unraveling the complex web of short-term rentals and their impact on the real estate market globally. If you've ever wondered why finding affordable housing seems increasingly difficult, stay tuned. This might just have the answers you're looking for. Tech companies like Airbnb have revolutionized the way we travel. But what is Airbnb? Airbnb is an online marketplace that connects people who want to rent out their property with people who are looking for accommodations, typically for short stays. With just a few clicks, anyone can rent out their space, room, or property, turning it into a lucrative source of income. But here's where it gets tricky. In cities already struggling with limited housing, these short-term rentals are taking a big bite out of the available living space. This shift has not only made it tougher for locals to find places to live, but has also driven up rent prices. Now, let's bring this into perspective with some real-world examples. Consider Barcelona, where the influx of tourists seeking short-term lodging has led to soaring rents and displaced residents. In Barcelona, at first, homeowners need to have their homes approved and registered as a tourist home. But since August 2021, Barcelona became the first major European city to completely ban short-term rentals of below 30 days. In London, homeowners or renters are only allowed to take bookings for 90 days or nights per calendar year or on Airbnb. After reaching this, the app will automatically not allow any more bookings. Paris has started to require renters to put up registration numbers to make sure that all units for rent are registered with the government. Or take New York City, where strict regulations have been put in place to curb the negative impact of short-term rentals on the housing market. In New York City, there was a time where a rule existed that it's not allowed to rent out your entire home to visitors of less than 30 days unless you are present in the unit. Today, it is a complete ban on short-term rentals. Airbnb describes this rule as a de facto ban on short-term rentals. There are still thousands of Airbnb listings in New York City today. If caught by law enforcement, they are set to pay a hefty fine. Is this really working for New York City? It's too early to tell. But how do real estate businesses around the world feel about all this? Many argue that while Airbnb can generate significant revenue, it also creates an uneven playing field, disrupting traditional housing and hotel markets. This brings us to an interesting case study, Canada. In response to their housing crisis, Canada has implemented regulations to limit short-term rentals, aiming to ensure that properties are kept within the long-term housing market. The federal government is trying to crack down on income tax deductions from non-compliant owners of short-term rent. The federal government are looking at what New York City has implemented over the past few years to regulate the number of short-term rentals in the more populated cities all over the country. Toronto, for one, is taking steps in regulating short-term rental. Renters of 28 days or shorter has to register with the local authority that requires fees and thorough checks of the market. In Montreal, a protest was started in the neighborhood to stop the presence of Airbnb altogether. In some cities, regulations have passed to allow short-term rentals to primary houses only. Investing in more homes to put up as a short-term rental is not allowed. But does this approach work? It's still early days, but initial results suggest it could be a step in the right direction. Efforts to regulate the industry are underway, but it's a delicate balance between supporting tourism and ensuring locals have affordable places to live. As we navigate through these examples, it becomes clear that the relationship between tech companies like Airbnb and the real estate market is complex. There are no one-size-fits-all solutions, but ongoing dialogue and tailored regulations appear to be key in mitigating negative impacts. As we wrap up today's discussion, it's evident that the surge of short-term rentals through platforms like Airbnb presents both opportunities and challenges. The landscape of urban housing is changing, and how we adapt to these changes will shape the future of our cities. So what do you think? Are short-term rentals more of a boon or a bane to the housing market?